Andy, first of all, thank you so much for giving up your valuable time to FIVA today to be interviewed. There's so much we could talk about. We could be here until your practice session starts, but we need to keep it short and sweet. You're a Le Mans winner in the state-of-the-art Jaguar, and behind you is also a Le Mans winning car, which was state-of-the-art in its day. How different are they? What are the major differences you spotted?
I mean, to be honest, it's chalk and cheese. But I mean, isn't every car state of the art at the time? So I mean,
yeah.
And you said that, you know, the XJR9 that we won Le Mans in '88. You said state of the art. I mean, we're talking about how many years ago was that?
Oh yeah, it's a historic vehicle now.
Exactly. It was a great car, the XJR9. So is the D-Type, but they are so different to drive. I mean, the XJR9 has massive downforce, more power. Obviously, everything was tuned for going down the long straight. There were no chicanes in those days. Actually, there were no chicanes in these days either.
True.
But I find with these older cars, I'm driving a car now that's actually older than me, which is very unusual at my age.
But a youngster.
But I never grew up with this kind of car, and so the first time I drove it was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
They're moving around everywhere. You know, and that's not so much the issue, but the issue is what's it going to do next?
Yeah.
And you have to be ready.
Did it take a while to learn? Because you can drift this. You've got to balance it. You've really got to be totally in control of every component.
Yeah, you have, and it's an interesting thing because, I mean, you can, in the end, you'll learn any car. I mean, it's still a work in progress with this one, to be honest, because I don't drive it that often. What I find though is with a modern car, everything happens very, very quickly. So, not just in terms of the speed you're travelling on the road, but things happen quickly. You arrive at the corner, you turn, the car turns quickly. Yeah. Everything happens in an instant, and if anything goes wrong, bang, barrier.
You're off.
Right, so that's kind of how it works. With these, if something goes wrong, you might have 5 or 10 seconds between that point and when you actually hit anything, because it goes wrong a lot earlier. And in that time, you can always try to wrestle it back. So it's a completely different head that you put on. Yeah. But I would say that, you know, they're both fantastic and equally enjoyable to drive. Yeah. You just need to take it a different
type of driving style. Yeah. Okay. So, now let's talk about some of the other things you've done apart from winning Le Mans. You've had 2 world land speed records for road cars, one in a McLaren, one in a Bugatti. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, actually, it started off with the XJ220 Jaguar.
Yeah.
And we went to Fort Stockton in Texas.
Yeah.
And we did 217 miles an hour on a bowl there. So that was back in the early 90s, maybe 91.
Okay.
So, and I was just, I was doing development on the XJ220, and I was just sort of sat or stood in the wrong place at the right time, and they said, can you come and do the speed record? Then later on, I raced at Le Mans with McLaren. And then I was doing some customer handovers, and at the end of everything, they decided to go and do a speed record run, and they said, oh, you'll do. Do you want to drive this car? So we went to Erlesheim, the Volkswagen proving ground in Germany, and we did 240.1, I think it was, miles an hour, which in 1998 was a ridiculous speed that nobody heard of. So then you fast forward to 2019, I've been working with Bugatti for more than 13 years now. Most amazing car I've ever driven. You know, the Chiron is absolutely incredible in terms, in many, many ways. I mean, not just speed and acceleration, but the ease of driving, the way you feel when you drive. It's a fantastic car. Wow. So then they said to me, we're going to go back to the test track and we want you to do, you know, the speed in that.
Be the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we're talking about over 300 miles an hour. Now, to try and wrap your head around that, what does it even mean?
That's sort of bluebird territory from years gone by, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of interesting because, you know, most motor racing on any track in the world except Le Mans, 200 miles an hour, just over 200 miles an hour, is fairly normal. Then even at Le Mans without chicanes, you're talking about perhaps 240. But when you're talking about 300, this is an area which, even at Indianapolis, you never reach these speeds.
Well, some aircraft don't go that fast.
No, so what it does, it actually it opens a large bag of worms because you have to solve an awful lot of problems. Yeah. I mean, keeping a car on the ground at over 300 miles an hour is not an easy feat. Yep. So there's a lot of testing done in the wind tunnel, of course, but also we spent a week at the test track making sure in real life how much load is on the front, how much is on the back, will it take off, tyres, you know, you're spinning the wheels around so fast that
Yes.
the tearing force on the tyres is huge.
Yeah.
You've got to be sure that's okay. Wheels, bodywork security, everything has to be absolutely right.
With a safety margin as well.
Yeah. And then finally, on the last day I got to do the full speed run. And at full speed, you're covering a kilometre every 7 seconds. It's 140 metres per second approximately. And that's a mile in 11 and a bit. So even though the straight on the test track is 5.5 miles long, you need 1 mile to slow down. 4.5 miles is literally like that.
God.
It's incredible.
So what's next?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of records,
Yeah.
I mean, 500 kilometres an hour is a barrier that hasn't been broken yet. This 304 was 490 kilometres an hour. So I guess that's next. I don't know.
An incremental change. But
Yeah, but I guess you wouldn't just do it a little bit, would you? You'd have to blow past it by some margin.
Exactly. I mean, my background was aerodynamics, so I know it's
It's a steep
basically
curve.
goes like that.
Yeah, it's a
So
steep curve.
the last few miles are going to take miles an hour, going to take a lot of extra engineering. But what's it feel like to drive at that speed in a road car?
Yeah, it's coming at you. Everything's coming at you really fast. But I mean, of course, with like, I was professionally racing for more than 30 years, and so you kind of condition yourself to speed per se. But this is an unusual speed first. But what does actually happen around about 450 kilometers an hour, 280 miles an hour, the speed that the wheels are turning, the front wheels are turning, the gyroscopic effect that's coming from the wheels actually overcomes the suspension geometry.
Oh,
So you don't have the self-centering that you'd normally have.
that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
No, and actually, I don't think anybody had really thought about that much. And of course, we were running. You know, everything on the car had to be as per production. So you can't put special wheels on to do this or special tyres. And Michelin had built us some tyres that were slightly stronger than the standard Chiron tyre, which is now the standard Chiron tyre for the Super Sport. So all that was all checked. But then suddenly, you get a situation where if the car moves a little bit to the left, a bit of crosswind or something, and you correct it to the right, it corrects, but then it keeps going right. So you need another one to uncorrect your correction.
So your
And
direction
so on.
stability is compromised,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
gone. So that's a little bit strange, because I always find driving fast cars, I've been doing it all my life, but if what you input into the car gives you a reaction that you're expecting, heart rate's calm,
Yeah.
everything's fine. If the moment it starts to do something different to what you expected, that's not a good
The question
thing.
is, what do I do now?
Yeah, and what will happen next? And
Yeah.
so anyway, I didn't just do one run, I did multiple runs trying to build the speed up,
Yeah.
and then finally on the last day,
You got there. Well,
we
congratulations.
did it. So
Anyway, so you go quite slow in comparison to tomorrow or today?
to be honest, not really, because I'm sure this will be doing 190 miles an hour
Really?
or so down the straight. They're very, very slippery, the knee time. So it'll be a handful.
It'll be fun. I
Yeah.
hope the tyres and the brakes are up to it.
They are.
Have a great qualifying, have
Thank
a
you.
great race, and
Brilliant.
I'll maybe see you Sunday to see how you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andy. Much